G'day. So what we got on? It's been a little while since I did a video, mostly because it's been cold, weather's been crap, and I haven't really been bothered to get out and do much stuff. I did think about actually just talking through some of the like experiences of driving and owning some of these older vehicles that I've got. So the Discovery and the Jag, both still with me. But what's prompted me to get the camera out today is this thing here. So I've got a. There we go. You may be aware that is a Kia Rio. I think it's called Gen 2. It's come into my ownership because a family member let it get to its MOT. MOT ran out, and with the previous advisories and a slight weep from the fuel tank, decided that they didn't want to bother spending the money on it. So I've taken it off them. The idea of this one is pretty much just to flip it, fix it up and sell it on. It does seem in decent shape. Like, there's a lot of good bodywork things to it. It's not terrible on the body at all. It's got a couple of tiny knocks, but the rest of the body seems to be relatively straight. The wheel trim's a bit hammered, but decent tyres. I've got receipts for it's had a clutch done, it's had the power steering pump done. One of the things that does go on these, they're metal fuel tanks, so it looks like that fuel tank is going to have to come out completely. I don't think it is safe or salvageable, and I'm not even sure I'd want to buy it if I was buying a car which had a repaired fuel tank. I'd want to see that it had been done. I think they're about 130 quid for the tank, so it shouldn't be too bad. I've subsequently been under it and had a look under. At the back, there is a little bit of, it wasn't the back actually, on the MOT it gave advisories for the subframe corrosion, and it does look similar to the Jag. It looks like it's it's got a bit of light corrosion, which is surface rust. So I'm going to sand that up and give it a spray, and hopefully the subframe is going to come back up. The CV boot on this side, yeah, definitely should have had that many beers last night. So the CV boot on this side was given as an advisory last year, and that's done, so that's coming off. I've got receipts for the trap rod ends being done previously, so they should be okay. So discs and pads these fronts are a bit lipped. I've not checked the backs out yet. I think the discs are all round as well, but the front ones are a bit lipped. All in all, I've put it onto a spreadsheet. So the idea is that with what I gave for it, it should turn a profit. So I'm not going to necessarily talk you through all of the jobs that I do as I do them, because most of them are standard, like doing discs and pads on a car. Most of it's fairly standard, so I'm not sure I'll do that. But I will come back and check in with more updates as I do it. Plan for this one is to take it all to pieces first of all. Just looking at that, I think it's just dirt. Yep. So just the idea is that I'll just take the car to pieces to see what bits I want to replace, then go and get those bits before taking it for its MOT. So rather than going and buying the parts and then needing more parts or whatever, I may as well just take it to pieces. Because it's not a car I'm going to use every single day, then I've got these other two for that. This one can just be on the driveway getting some work done. You might have noticed there's a Punto there as well. I can't remember if I've spoken about that before, but my nephew had that. It's actually the same person that sold me the Kia. The Punto was there before as well. Same again. MOT ran out, so I've got the MOT sorted, put a new cam belt on it, and it's been sat there because my nephew hasn't got his license yet. But the idea is that that's his car. Once he's got his license, it's a good little first car, that one. It's been knocked about a bit more, but cheap and cheerful does the job. Right, I'll check back in again at some point. Hello. Right, so you join me back now. I'm working on the Clio Rio, and I thought I wasn't sure what to do about what I was doing in terms of breaking down the detail of what I'm doing on it, but I thought I'd come back and give you an update. I think I'm pretty much done with stripping stuff now, so I'm just going to walk you around and show you what's what. So the first thing, the big one, the fuel tank is out. If anybody wants to take a Clio Rio fuel tank out, it is not actually a very complicated job. It's just a bit of a faff, bit fiddly, and obviously there's a risk of fuel getting spilt here as well. In the previous owner's wisdom, they decided that it had a full tank of fuel. So again, if you were to take this out and you're knowing you were going to do the job, I would recommend, don't have a massive amount of fuel in the tank before you start the job. There are repair kits, tank repair kits, I believe. I've ordered a brand new one because I don't feel comfortable with something as important as a fuel tank, that it needs to make sure that it's sealed properly. And now I've taken it off, you can see it's just corrosion city around here. in their wisdom, I mean, this car actually, from what I've done from the tearing down piece, it actually seems to be like, well built, easy to take apart, not difficult. Why? That is metal. I don't understand. Plastic fuel tanks won't corrode, so I just don't get why you'd use plastic, or why you wouldn't use plastic in there instead of metal, or just on this particular component. It looks like to me that that's all completely shot. And the bracket that's holding this on, I'm not sure what this bit is, but it's obviously not faulty. It will go back on again. There's corrosion on the clips, corrosion all around here. If you look around the other side of it, again the sills side of it, where all the, oh, there we go, point at the thing, all these are all broken as well. I'm not sure whether that's the cause of the fuel leak at the moment, or whether it's all components. But if you look around here, it's damp here. It was leaking underneath, so it's probably seeping around everywhere. Anyhow, fuel tank is off. I will do a separate video, I think, just to explain how to get it out, because it might be helpful and useful in the future. What else are we doing then? So on the rear here, don't worry, it's not jacked up and being supported by a plastic bucket. I've got better protection than that. But I had noticed, I'll show you the brake pads in a moment, some of these. On the previous advisories, it said about the springs being a bit corroded, so I may, oh, just be careful, there's fuel under there. I'm going to clean them up because they don't actually look too bad, so I'm not going to put new springs on. I'll clean that up, but I'm going to jet wash all of this because it's just, I don't think anyone's ever jet washed underneath the arches. Yeah, so discs on this side aren't too shocking. Let's pull a pad out as well. I've got my screwdriver. Whoop. Where did I put that? I've got my flathead somewhere else under the car, so I can just do it with this one. So these pads on this side, they weren't too shocking. Like, so there's quite a lot of meat on them. They don't look in. Oh, there we go. The pads don't look like they've lost a lot of meat. And the discs they're a bit lipped, but they're quite ridged and stuff on here. So they're, for me, a bit of a borderline. Would I bother or would I not on them ones? So that was the rear on this side. Everything else on the back here, it all looks pretty reasonable, just needs a good clean. On the front, on this corner, where do we start? So the rusty subframe, so there is a bit of surface rust, but as you can look, it is just surface. There's no cracks or crunched bits. So I've been round and given it a good clean and a spray on the subframe. The calipers look to be okay. I'm going to just check when I wind the pistons back in again to make sure that the seals are all right. They look okay. The caliper brackets, this side was okay, the other one was not. Actually, this side was bad. So I've had to restore that one. The springs again look corroded, so they're going to get a clean. Same with all these, have just got surface corrosion on, but they don't look bad. They just need a bit of a clean up. But the discs on this side, and they're on the other side of the car. So over here, my broken bits. So these are the discs on the front of the car. And again, this side, this one, there's hardly any lip on it. It's a bit warm, but not too bad. This one though, so I don't know if they have been replaced, but not in pairs. This one has got a much bigger lip. Obviously the rusting on there is just surface, but if you look at the pads on the front, and that was this side, the driver's side, so they're not too shocking, just a bit worn out, as in corroded and dirty. But that one, look, there's a lump missing. There's a piece missing from there. I don't know if I've done that when I picked it up because the brakes were stuck on, and as I've freed it, the lumps come off. But you can see the thickness of that pad is really bad, and that was the inner pad on the inner side. And what I found when I took off the caliper on the, where are we, on this side. So I took the caliper off. You've got the caliper brackets, and these bits are meant to sort of push in and out and twist around. And on the passenger side, it was completely and utterly solid. It wouldn't move. So just that small little thing there, that little piston that goes in here, it seems to seal well. It was solid. So I'm going to give that a little bit of a grease and put back together again, because you couldn't buy one of them on its own when I was at the Motor Factors. So that's getting replaced as well. A CV boot. So on the passenger side, the CV boot's okay. On this one, it's an advisory last year and was never done. So you can see it's split, it's broken, so that's going to get replaced. I don't like these. I'm not sure whether to replace them or not, or whether you even can, but they're just a little bit corroded. As far as I'm aware, just to protect bits of debris getting into the disc itself. So yeah, again, we'll see.
Everything else looks to be okay. Again, like surface corrosion, which isn't too bad. This aux belt, I don't know if you can see on there, it's quite cracked, so the aux belt's getting done. I couldn't find a timing belt on this, and I was just checking when I went to the manufacturers as well, and they said no, there's a timing chain on this, so that's good. The car was running sweet, engine was fine, so there's no need to mess around with the timing chain on that one, but it's another little job I don't need to do. What else? Oh yeah, there's a big bit missing right around there, over here, these wishbone bits. So this is now, because I've taken the fuel tank off and the cost of the vehicle and the cost of repairing it all, I'm hoping to get a completely clean MOT with no advisories, because you know, the rest of the car, like bodywork, interior, mileage, previous history, loads of services and stuff, is had a clutch done, there's loads of things done, so I want to make sure it's done to the best that it can be to make sure it gets through the MOT, and then I can sell it for the highest price, not the highest price, but the higher price. On these, you can just tell there's a little bit of cracking around here, so it's not, I don't think that would fail an MOT. I'm not sure. I'm not an MOT tester, but if I'd spotted that and I was an MOT tester, I'd be giving it an advisory, because it is starting to wear. And again, around here, I don't know if you'd even see that on those bits. That's starting to go. And then the ball joints, and on this, are slightly separate. I did start to take off on the driver's side. I took the nut out on the ball joints to release the ball joint out of the arm. But then I started to look at the actual ball joints themselves, and again, they're not broken, but they are starting to perish. They are starting to tear themselves apart. And the same on this side, same story. So again, for the cost of the arms, that one's starting to perish again. So you might get an advisory for that. I don't know. But I've decided I'll take them both out, and the cost of those is about 40 quid for an arm, and it's about 15 quid or so for the ball joint. So it's not mega money. And because I've already got to take this, like the drive shaft, out on the driver's side, and I've got to do that to get the CV boot off, it's only a couple of bolts to get that thing out. So it didn't make much sense to not do it. Where else are we? What else have we found? So, rear, this side again, same again. Brakes on this side. So it's a bit odd. It's this corner that's really not good compared to the. So this is the driver's side. The driver's side rear is not great. These discs, the pads again. You look at that. Look at the state of that. So that is definitely not going to pass the MOT. I don't need to be an MOT tester to confirm that that is fuckered. This one, again, it's not in great shape at all. So they're all just crumbling. So that one's done, and the disc, you can tell again, it's just really just doesn't look good. It feels okay. It doesn't feel too bad. It's not got a big lip on it. It doesn't feel too bad. But these again, look at the state. Don't get it. Anyway, so that's the sort of situation at the moment. There's a lot of little bits that are going to add up, but when you look at the rest of the car, I think if you consider how much work needs to be done, it should, with a good polish and a good clean, it should make decent money when it's finished. But again, I think it's worth just doing the little tiny bits and making sure it's absolutely tickly-boo. Right, that's it for now. I think that'll be done. I'm going to do another video when I've finished, just to explain what I've done with the MOT, or probably post MOT, and just see if I get any advisories or anything, and I'll add that to this video. So we're back. Rio, young Rio here, is now fully MOT'd. It's been an interesting challenge, that's for sure. It's just time consuming, I think, more than anything. It's probably quite a lot of jobs, a lot of little bits have all added up. I'm going to show you around more of the car in a moment when I've finished, but just to talk you through then what I've done. It got the full MOT. The advisories that are on it were relating to the rusty brake ferrules, which is a bit of an annoyance because they give them a good clean. They're not too bad at all, and then it just says general rust underneath, which is quite derogatory of a car that's 16 years old. You look at any car that's 16 years old, there's going to be rust underneath. So I wish it had had a clean one, but I did go to quite a strict MOT tester to try and make sure that I wasn't trying to scrimp or push through a dodgy MOT. I don't want it to be like that. It needs to be a car that, if I was buying this, I want it to be as I'd have it myself. So it has had the full MOT. So a list then of what I've done. I've got a list because there's quite a lot of it. I've got it. The battery ended up dying on me. When I first got it, it had been sat for about a month, and it did start up okay. But then because it's then sat for a few weeks here, and maybe I might have left the door on a crack as well. So the interior light might have come on, that was it. The battery then just goosed itself and that was gone. So yeah, 90 quid down a pound for a battery. It had the wishbones both sides, the ball joints which were separate. It had 3 new bulbs, it had a new fuel tank, and then I subsequently had it tracked as a result of the wishbones going on. The steering wheel wasn't straight, so that got sorted. Or maybe it wasn't straight in the first place. I didn't really notice when I bought it, so the tracking got sorted and that was dealt with as well. As I said, the inspection when I bought it, the brakes just didn't seem quite right. So I took 2 calipers apart in the end, and put them back, like give them a really good grease and then put them back together again. Made sure the seals seemed to be okay. So the brake calipers, 2 of them, one front, one rear, they both got done. New pads, new discs all round as well, making sure they got sorted. The timing belt, as I mentioned in the previous video or previous part of the video, I think there was not a timing belt, so didn't need to change that one, but I did do the auxiliary belt. It was looking a bit rough. Then when I did that, the number plate or one of the previous advisors, the number plates were done, so I got those, and I've got a little bit of a, while I'm in the merging, got new plates on there, carlee.co.uk. Don't know if it will stick yet or not, but yeah, hey ho. New plates went on, one was advisory, and then I walked past, I don't know if you can see down here, the actual number plate itself, the daft design, because look how much of it, half of the plate is actually sticking out from the bumper. I managed to catch it when I was doing some work on it, which snapped it anyway. So good job I was getting them replaced. And then inside mats, I got a new set of mats because the ones that are on there, or that didn't have any in there actually. So I just bought some proper shaped ones. And then before me owning it, this is why I've sort of spent the money on this car, because when I looked at it and looked through the receipts, I found that it had a power steering pump done in September last year. The track rod ends were done and some brake pipes were replaced February last year. It had a service in 2021. It had rear discs and pads in March. Obviously they were goosed because of the caliper. A new slave cylinder and a new clutch done in February 2019. It had a service in 19, a service in 18 and a service in 17. 18 and 17 are both stamped in the book, and they've got receipts for all 3 of those, or for all 4 of those, sorry. And then the book is stamped, so it's got a stamp in there from March or April from 2008 to 2018. So I thought, well, the fact that it's got all that history with it means that getting this over the line to get the right price for it, it should be worth it. I mean, I don't know yet. I've had lots of views and people are watching the car, but as yet no one's actually bought it. So whether it's the right price or not, I don't know. 16.95 is the price I've put it on for. It seems to me that ones that are in really good nick with similar mileage on it and similar age, they're sort of 2 to 2.5, and maybe might go to a manufacturer, or not a manufacturer, but a dealer, and get a warranty, and you're sort of paying that sort of 2.5 grand. So this one, there's a few marks on the bodywork. It's not anything major. It's had a polish and a wet vac to the interior as well. So it's not pristine. It's in decent shape, but it's definitely not up there with the top cars. I mean, there's the Jag I've got is in better shape, I think, and but it's got less mileage as well. So yeah, anyway. Right, with that, I'm going to pause the video, I think, and I'll spin it round and I'll show you the car a bit more closer up. So as I said to you, the plates have been replaced, as you can see, so they're brand new, nice and clean plates. The rest of the car, polished up quite nicely. There are a few little pin dents. If you look closer, you might be able to notice on there. There's a little pin dent on the bonnet. There's a little mark on the front bumper there too. Which is why I say it's not a pristine car. Headlights, I went over the polish. I went and polished those as well, and they came up really clean. The grey inserts look actually quite nice. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, I did respray the wheel trims. They're not a perfect match to the centre caps, but it was a lot cheaper than buying new ones. I think it was £47 each for a new wheel trim, and I didn't want to put on non-standard ones. These tyres, they are only Davanti tyres. They're not like a branded one, but they're nearly new. I've not got a receipt for them, but they're nearly new. And on the back, it's got Toyo tyres, which again seem to be quite reasonable shape. See a bit of paint missing there, which again it's not too shabby. And there's a couple of little the paint or the grey has faded quite badly on that one. As you come round it, again you'll notice the sort of the car is not in too bad shape. The rear lights are clear, rear bumpers clear, rear boots clear. I did have an experiment, did have a try, so it's quite good from this angle. You don't really notice too much of a dent on the boot, but there are a couple of little dents here. I've pulled that one out a little bit, and it's my first time trying to use a paintless dent removal tool. I didn't really want to go and overdo it because it's a bit wobbly. I wanted to just make it that it doesn't attract. When you walk around the back of a car, you saw it straight away, whereas now your eye doesn't get drawn straight in. It's there. It's not trying to hide it. It is there, but it's not trying to not going to try and be a perfect finish, because I don't think I will. It's a bit too rippled in too many places that I don't think I can get that perfectly straight without then filling and spraying it. So I'd rather it was honest and stays as it is with a little bit of attention to it. In the back, so there has been, I think it's a paint can that was spilled in there. You can see that's in there, but it does still have the original like space saver wheel and the toolkit. I think the toolkit's complete. You got, I think it doubles up as a curry hook, plus a little tab for holding your thingy up. But yeah, look, you got a jack in there as well. The original jack's in. Jackson 5. Anyone? Yeah, maybe not. And there's a bit of paint there on. So I don't know if the passenger shelf was in the boot, which is why it then got paint on it. I don't know. There's a couple of little bits there. I could probably razor blade them off actually, but I haven't done. Not yet. Maybe I will. Everything else, so the plates in the back is brand new. On the outside, again this side, as large as you expect it to be really. I did do a bit of the grey plastics. I did them and then it started to rain, so I need to go over them again when it's dried off properly to make them pop a bit better. Then on the interior wise, I mean it's come up really nicely. So the plate, the mats, like actually the custom fitted ones, not massively expensive, but I think it was nice just to get some genuinely right shaped ones. Everything else on here, so there's a little bit of a mark down there that you can see. There's a bit of whiteness on there, but everything else interior wise, there's no cracks on it, no trim damaged or missing, so that's quite nice. And in the back, I think it would have been used at some point, but yeah, it's in good nick. It's in really good nick. So I mean, let me know if you're interested in these kinds of things. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is it worth the money I'm asking for it or not? JVC, I can't imagine that is a factory fitted option. That's got to be a aftermarket one, but it's doubled in and it does sound okay. And if we go then for a startup, oh yeah, another thing I did, I re-gassed the air conditioning. It doesn't seem to be quite as cold as other vehicles. I still don't know if that's working as effective as it could be, or whether that's just my lack of experience gassing. There you go for a start, and well, you can tell it's a diesel, can't you? That's the thing. It starts and sounds like a tractor, but it's a diesel. And they got a blue light on there. I believe that's just because it's cold when you drive around. When you drive round, the blue light comes off. If we take the brake off, look, that light comes out. And what's this? It's a belt. Oh, so there we go, look. No, if I can get it in the hole. That's what she said. So we've only got one blue light because it's not warm. Other than that, no lights at all. So yeah, I think it's worth it. $16.95. Obviously very close offers, depending on how quickly someone responds. I don't think it's a bad price for this car at all. 84, not even 85,000 miles, 16 years old. So yeah, it's been well looked after over the years. I think it benefits from the fact that it had 7 years from the factory. But let me know what you think. Good, bad, indifferent, fun, not, whatever. But in the meantime, tally bye.